Welcome to the Sharp Way Show. A little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. I'm so happy to have you with me this evening. I know I've been gone a lot recently. I know I was sick. I was cough, all that kind of good stuff. But I think I have recovered. At least I hope I have. If I cough a little bit today, I haven't completely recovered. But I think I'm doing much better, and I appreciate that. I'm glad you guys are here. So I wanted to do an AMA and ask me anything. But as always, before I go down my AMA, I try to kind of warm us up with a topic that usually is bugging me, right? But again, it's going to be a good show. So do me a favor, click that like button. Why haven't you clicked it? Click it. What's wrong with you? Click the like button. If you're watching, click it. It does matter. What am I talking about today? I am talking about congestion pricing in New York City. It's been a bee in my bonnet for a while. I have not been happy about this, and it still bothers me. And I wanted to show you a bit and talk about it just for a second, because this again is New York City. And some of you are saying to yourself, Larry, I don't care about New York City. You need to, because what happens in my broken city is going to come to you at one point. We see it already. Congestion pricing is already in London, Singapore, other places, now New York City. I've been talking about it for years. And I want to show you, if I can get this right here, I want to show you a little bit of a report they did on this, and you can see it for yourself.
The controversial congestion pricing plan, we've been covering this for a while now. The MTA board approved it earlier today.
Yeah, that tolling plan affects drivers who enter Manhattan at or.
Look at that. Cars, $15. Taxis, $1.25 per ride. A rideshare app, $2.50 per ride. So they hammer the Ubers worse than the taxis. How was that fair? I don't know, but anyway, who cares? Small trucks, $24. Large truck, $36. Yeah. So to do your job now costs more. See? To do your job costs more. Who are taxi drivers? Regular people. Who has cars? Regular people. Rideshare apps? Regular people. Small trucks? Regular people. Large trucks could be corporations, maybe. I get that. But who's paying for this mostly? Yeah, regular people. That's what's happening.
Below 60th Street, and prices are going to range from $15 all the way up to $36 for drivers. News 4's Andrew Siff live in Lower Manhattan with what happens next in the process. Andrew.
Here we go.
Right. What happens next is the public's going to get a chance to sound off. There'll be 60 days of public comment, then
Okay, let's be clear. This is public comment. They won't care. Public comment is just a pain in the ass. That's all it is. All it is a bunch of people from the Department of whatever, transportation or whatever is the group, MTA, will show up and go, okay, hi, please yell at me now. And people will yell at them. You guys suck, you're ruining everything. And they'll go, okay, thank you. And they'll walk away. And I can guarantee you, it does not matter how many people yell at them, nothing will change. Public comment is useless. All it does is make people angry. I'm not making that up. It's exactly true.
For public hearings in late February and early March, and then this tolling is set to begin in late spring. The MTA acknowledged today a new challenge, making sure drivers pay that toll.
Oh, how are you going to make us pay?
Those voting yes, keep your hands up.
It passed by a 9-to-1 margin. Those in favor.
I want you to think about that. A 9-to-1 margin. That is my city. 9-to-1 said yes.
Acknowledging
someone has to pay, and you've thought a way to make that a fair burden across.
This idiot, Neil Zuckerman, said, somebody's got to pay. That's what he said. And you found a way to make it fair. Anybody remember my idea, my plan that this idiot Zuckerman could easily be using? Remember that? Yeah. Leasing naming rights on bridges. Remember that idea? To make literally billions of dollars in the bridges and tunnels all across New York City. Then who would pay for that? Oh, you know who would pay for that? Big corporations who Democrats say, they don't actually care, but who Democrats say they want to punish. But they never seem to do that, do they? I'm sorry, what corporation was punished with this plan? Oh, right, none. No corporation was punished with their plan. I did one that the corporations would voluntarily, happily pay. They get the ads and the marketing that they want. They're paying for it anyway, and they pay for our MTA to make our MTA better without punishing the people. So now here's his logic. We'll punish the people. It'll be fair. How is it fair? This idiot probably lives in Manhattan already, so he's not paying anything. But that's okay. I guess it's fair, whatever he says fair is. And then they're supposed to trust them then to repair the MTA. Well, here's the problem. You're putting in congestion pricing, slowing people down from using the city, and they're supposed to then, in theory, go to mass transit. But the mass transit system is a steaming pile of shit in this city. That's why they have to raise the money to fix it. With my plan, there's no tolls. So the people do save a bit crossing through the city while you repair the broken MTA. And my other plan for the MTA, remember my other plan for that too? By the way, been on my website since 2018. So literally 5 years on my website, anybody could pick it up, take it, was to allow at night, when only half the trains are running anyway, to make every other train a cargo train. Allow cargo and goods to come into New York City. If cargo and goods came into New York City at night, they'd have to rebuild the entire system. Who would do that? The big companies who bring all the stuff in, the Amazons, the Home Depots, the FedExes, they would happily pay for that. Again, give them naming rights on the stations. Let them bring this stuff in. They're happily pay for it. And it'll happen quickly because government won't run it. They will run it. And they're not going to pay $1 gazillion overtime and stuff. They'll start suing people and crushing people, so they will just get the shit built. It'll be built up in a year and a half, not literally 15 years is how long it takes to fix the MTA. I'm not joking. 15 years to repair something in the MTA. That's how long it took, maybe longer, to do just the Second Avenue line. 15 years. They'll knock it out in 2, and no taxpayer pays a dime. But he won't do that. And this idiot, Neil Zuckerman, literally said it was fair. This is my city. This is fair.
The group, it is fairly shared.
Who will be sharing the cost of the nation's first congestion toll? Just about everyone next spring. Cars will pay $15 once per day to enter Manhattan south of 60th Street. Trucks will pay $24 or $36, depending on their size. Business leaders made the case gridlock was even more expensive.
Excess traffic congestion is costing the New York City region over $20 billion a year.
The money predicted to pour in from congestion pricing, $15 billion to modernize subways and buses.
So $15 billion from average New Yorkers. $15 billion. This city's collapsing, and these people who say it's fair go, you know what we should do? We should get the average New Yorker to pay $15 billion, not literally the largest corporations who that's their yearly marketing budget. If I'm not mistaken, I think Amazon or Google, one of the two, I forgot which one, their marketing budget is like $10 billion. One of them could take a third of their marketing budget, put it into this, and then 5 other companies pays for it. Marketing budget paid for without one New Yorker paying a dime. They're happy punishing us more. The punishment never ends. And New Yorkers, New York City, if you listen to this and you're voting for these people, this is your fault.
As for exemptions, New Jersey drivers who use the Lincoln and Holland Tunnel.
Now here comes the best part and the real reason why they want to do this. You might say, Larry, everything you're saying is obvious. Why would they want to do this? Clearly, it's not going to work. It hasn't worked in London, and I'll show you that in a minute. And it works kind of in Singapore because they have a police state, but I'll express that also in a second. So why would they do it? Well, because now there have to be exemptions, which means now people can try to bribe their local city officials to give them exemptions. I'm not joking. That's exactly what they want to do. Now that there can be exemptions, well, my people need this, so I have to now get my city councilman to vote my way, so I can now bribe them so they can vote their way. Yes, now the lobbyists can get involved. Well, my car has 3 wheels, so I have to do this, and I come from Jersey. Yes, more reason to grift. Yes.
Get a $5 credit. Some think that's unbalanced.
I reject that. I don't think anybody from Jersey should get a credit. And people from the outer boroughs, the blue-collar people.
Well, that's true. Jersey doesn't deserve anything. So he's right on that. To hell with New Jersey. Sorry, Jersey. Yeah, I don't care.
New York, the working people that make the city go should not get credits.
Other concerns, enforcement. The MTA has already struggled to collect at cashless toll plazas.
Look at all those cameras. We have to install a whole lot more cameras. You might go, wait a minute, Larry. Have to install cameras? Yeah. So a massive upfront expense. Who's going to get that contract? Oh, right. The cronies of Kathy Hochul and Eric Adams. I'm not joking again. I tell you all the time, why would they do this, right? Of course, they want to control the jobs. That is how they repay all the people who support them. They repay their cronies with jobs. That's how they do it. Now, New York City residents pay $15 billion so that Eric Adams and Kathy Hochul can give jobs to their people in return for the money they've given them. That is how this whole one hand wash the other works. But the worst part is 5% don't get collected anyway. In the subway system, we don't collect $800 million worth of tolls. So we don't collect it anyway.
With up to 5% failing to pay. Here's what the MTA chairman...
And you'd say, okay, people aren't paying. The people who aren't paying, many of them are clearly poor, aren't able to, of course, most of them are, of course. So, because New York State cares and New York City cares, what is the MTA's, what's their policy on this?
Had to say about those who try to get out of the congestion toll.
We're going to go after it hard.
So we're going to punish the poor people more. He just set it right up. This guy's forward. This guy, Lieber, he's a monster. He's a terrible guy. And he's like, we're just going to hit him harder. That's it, poor people. We already got you paying $14, $17 to come in if you want to come into our city. Working class people, already got you on that one. And our MTA is garbage. So we got you on that. And if you try to drive around here and you do something, or you're an Uber driver trying to make ends meet, you're a taxi driver who's probably an immigrant struggling, and you don't pay your toll, we're going to hit you hard. We're coming at you. But hey, Mr. Lieber, what about the wealthy people in New York City? Oh, no, they're fine. But I thought you were a Democrat and you cared about punishing the wealthy or whatever you say you care about. What about those people? Oh, no. They give me money, so no, they get to slide.
Sure that people are not getting away with that because the credibility of the whole effort is at stake.
As for the people who will be paying the toll, like heating repairman Servando Velasquez.
They send me all the way uptown, so what am I going to do? They're going to have to eat that cost. I mean, and who's going to pay for it? The customers.
Yeah, who's going to pay for it? The customers. Yeah, the dude on the street figured that one out. And idiot Lieber and idiot Zuckerman, they couldn't figure it out. Homeboy on the street was like, yeah, they're going to eat it.
The MTA is reserving the right to raise that congestion toll by another 25% on so-called gridlock alert days.
Oh, so now we can raise the price on gridlock alert days. So we need some more money. I guess it's gridlock day. That's how that works. Yeah, that's already happened in London, right? London did this too. I'm going to show you the video on that also. London did it, and of course, immediately started raising prices. And by the way, didn't work. Now, people will tell me, well, Larry, it works in Singapore. For those of you who don't know, it does work in Singapore, but not because of congestion pricing. In Singapore, they're basically a police state. And what Singapore has decided is they have what's called a certificate of entitlement. Yeah, I know some of you libertarians are already vomiting. I know, please wipe your mouth. I know it's terrible. The government decides if you are entitled to own a car. I'm not joking. You have to apply for a certificate of entitlement in Singapore, and then the government says, yeah, you can own a car, and you can only own a car for 10 years. Then you have to go back to the Singapore government and go, may I please keep my car for 10 more years? And they can tell you no. So if you live in that kind of police state, you can control traffic. You just go, none of you guys can have cars. Traffic solved. It does work, I'll give you that, but you got to live in a police state. London, it's worse.
Once again, they're expecting this toll to begin sometime in the late spring. We're live in Lower Manhattan. Andrew Siff, News 4 New York.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you guys saw that piece, right? That right there, you should already want to just vomit immediately. So let me grab a couple comments on this one. I appreciate that. Michael says you can cuss, Larry. I do sometimes. I just don't want to do it for nothing. But yes, absolutely, I do. Sam says, I honestly think congestion pricing should be illegal / unconstitutional. Sam, it actually is, I'm sure, but they don't seem to care. For most of you who don't know this, how the government actually works, how it should work. What should happen, to Sam's point, is congressmen, assemblymen, and city councilmen should be saying, wait a minute, I don't want to pass a law because this law may be unconstitutional. That's not how it works. What happens is they pass a law and say, if it's unconstitutional, the courts will say something. I'm not joking. That's how they think. That's what they just pass laws. They say, if something's wrong, the judge will take care of it. And here's the next part. You would think, to Sam's point, if you were a judge or on the Supreme Court or on the highest court in New York State, when the law came out, you'd be like, whoa, this law is unconstitutional. This is gone. This is garbage. You can't do this. As soon as the governor signs it, you review it and go, you can't do this. That's not how it works. Unless you petition New York State courts. If you petition them, then they'll look at it and decide if it's unconstitutional. So literally, I'm not making this up. If New York State reinstated slavery, if they did it, the courts would do nothing until someone sued them. That's how New York State, and I think most states work. Most of the congressmen do the same thing. Pass a law, who cares? And again, if you don't actually, when it comes to federal laws, if you can't afford to get to the Supreme Court, unconstitutional laws stand. We see it everywhere. We see, thousands of unconstitutional laws. If you are not prepared to spend the time, money, and energy to sue, no court will do anything. Nothing. They will do nothing. No judge will step in. And if they're lower level, they'll just go, I don't know. And they'll just let it go. They will let it go higher. They don't want to be responsible, particularly in New York State. New York State judges are a joke. They are a disaster. They are an embarrassment. They are an embarrassment. So you are correct, Sam. And that's not our system. So I wish you were wrong, I guess is what I would say. But you're on the money. So yes. So if I can grab this here, if I can. Michael then goes on, well, I'm sure that Queen Hochul the first, it will eventually shove the congestion control down. Yeah, our throats, 100%. You're correct. It's already going to happen, Michael. They're going to talk trash, and that's it. So Robert asks, what is the current state of the New York State Libertarian Party? I would rather not discuss the LPNY. What I would say is it's not as effective as I would like it to be. And it is my opinion they are going in the wrong direction in general. That is my opinion. That's as far as I want to go. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want the LPNY is already mad at me. I don't need to go any further. I'll just say that. There we go. Anthony says, why does the government always seem to love punishing the everyday citizen, yet give those with throwaway money to do as it pleases? Because the people with throwaway money give money to those politicians. You're correct. Your assessment is correct. And the reason is because they get it. Right? Because they get cash from them. That's the issue, right? Absolutely. So, Joe says, AMA question, what would you be doing if you weren't involved in the libertarian movement? Probably being, I think, two things. I would still be a consultant, which is where I make all of my money is on consulting. So I still be a consultant, but I'd probably I'd be more active in media like this. Like I probably would be spending a lot of money on a studio. I would be spending a lot of money. I would spend more time consulting, which brings a lot more money than this does, right? My libertarian endeavors only lose me money. Like I just lose money. And if those of you have been involved in the Libertarian Party, you know what I mean. I make no money on anything I do libertarian. I just lose money. So I've been losing money for now. I've been active, say 7 years active. So as I've been active, I lose money. If I just look at my libertarian endeavors, I just lose money. So I would probably be spending less time doing that, more time making money consulting. That's where I make all my money. And then I probably would have moved that into some form of studio to really do a good consulting show. Probably what I would be doing. That'd be my assumption. That would be my guess. Because I like doing live a lot. I prefer it. I've been a teacher, a public speaker. I teach public speaking presentation skills. One reason why I do as well as I do when I'm live. So I'd probably do something like that. I hope that answers your question. So yes. All right. Let me get out of that if I could, and then move to something else if I could. This is something from, believe it or not, 4 years ago. This is 4 years ago. And this is talking about Congestion pricing. And this, again, this is mainstream stuff. I'm not going to give you anything like, from some guy who's yelling and screaming about, whatever, what's good and what's bad. Nope, not like that. This is mainstream stuff I'm going to show you right now. Totally amazing. Here, ABC 7 New York. Can't be more mainstream than that.
An Eyewitness News exclusive. New York City is moving forward with congestion pricing, but we're not the first. In 2003, London began charging extra for drivers to enter the city center. It was meant to ease traffic congestion. Each year, the city raking in millions of dollars.
20 years ago.
Now, more than 15 years later, has it changed traffic patterns? The answer is yes, but not in ways you would expect. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger traveled to London to learn more.
I want to be clear on this. This is mainstream ABC News 4 years ago. So New York City saw this and it was reported on. And he's going to tell you it didn't work. And they're still doing it.
It's the middle of the day on a holiday, but in one of the world's great cities, Uber driver Henrik Dalfinis doesn't get a break from the endless traffic.
In other words, you're looking at this and this is good traffic.
This is good traffic because we're going forward.
Moving forward is what the City of London promised it would do in 2003, when with great fanfare it launched what it called its congestion charge. A network of cameras and plate readers that toll every vehicle passing into the city.
Cameras and plate readers. The reality of this is just to make New York City more of a police state. And that's what it will do. We don't have enough cameras in New York City. Literally right now, if you come to New York City, you could, if you wanted to, go and get a tour of all of the cameras in New York City. I'm not joking. There's people who make their money on this. If you Google it, you can say, hey, I'm gonna go to New York City. Hey man, can you give me a tour? And a guy will take you all around Manhattan, all around the city. Hey, this is that camera, and show you all the cameras on how we're being surveilled upon, and here's more of them.
In hopes of tackling one of London's most persistent problems, an endless procession of traffic.
The idea was that you pay this charge and you'd be able to move more predictably and smoothly through the streets. The camera will pick up.
Tony Travers studies urban government at the London School of Economics and has watched.
So again, mainstream guy studies this specifically at the London School of Economics. Again, not some guy who's like, I'm living in my basement. I live in a bunker like Larry Sharp, doing great. No, this is a mainstream guy.
The rise and, he says, fall of the plan. At first, the numbers showed a marked improvement. Traffic speeds up, congestion delays down. But a decade and a half later, with a trend toward bike lanes and pedestrian paths and Uber everywhere, London, like New York, has much less space for cars. Drivers are shelling out £12, about $16 to access the zone. And London is as jammed as ever.
Here we are 16 years later, and the congestion and the road speeds are the same as they were before.
With congestion and road speeds the same as they were before. Hear what he just said. Congestion and road speed the same as they were before. The only difference is now the average person pays more money. That's the difference.
New York lawmakers finally planning to roll out congestion pricing in Manhattan. We wanted to see what Londoners would tell New Yorkers. And, well, what should they know about what happened here?
Here's what Londoners really hate about congestion pricing. This is an example. This street goes into the zone, and you could see there's almost no one driving on there at all. But then come out here to the ring road around the congestion zone, and you can see it's pretty jammed up with people who are trying to avoid spending that extra cash. Locals say it causes congestion that never stops.
We need to be real here.
But Sue Terpolovsky says it has done damage to her printing business. Her factory outside the zone, her clients inside. And so she parks and she schleps.
Yeah, we park here literally with our own hands. We had to manhandle over the lighter stuff and carry it into the office.
Now, again, if you know New York City, Manhattan at all, what neighborhoods are north of 60th Street? Now, there's some nice neighborhoods, Upper West, Upper East, but they're also apartment areas. There's some nice neighborhoods. What else is up there? Oh, yeah, Harlem and like. What neighborhoods do you think will get hammered with all this congestion?
When the charge started, London invested heavily in mass transit, improving the underground and adding hundreds of buses. But since then, bus times are even slower than before.
Bus times slower than before. I want you to hear that. New York City buses already suck. Bus times slower.
Last month, the next shoe dropped. The cost doubling in the zone for any vehicle that doesn't meet the tightest emission standard.
Now, there is the next piece again. back to control. Back to control. So if you don't have the kind of car we say, your cost is doubled. Do you hear that? You don't have the kind of car the government says you should have. You pay double. This precedent will go throughout all of New York State. I guarantee you that's the next step. Well, Larry, I don't care about congestion pricing. How about when you cross a bridge or a toll? How about when you're getting told when you go on the highway or on the thruway and you don't have the kind of car I want you to have? Oh, your toll just got doubled. You got a Tesla because we gave him some money. You're paying $2. You don't have a Tesla, you're paying $8. You got an older car because you can't afford a newer car, you're paying $16. Every time I talk about this, people think, Larry, you're nuts, will never happen. Literally an example of it already happening. Already happening. So now you pay double if you don't have the kind of car they want. And they're going to say, well, you have a choice. You could just buy another car, or you don't have to, or use mass transit. They're going to say you have a choice. But in reality, you don't. And the worst part is the person who can't afford the new cool car, whatever the car they say it is, that's the person who can't afford to pay. That's the person who get trapped. And that's the person that piece of garbage Libra is going to come after and punish. That's the person they're going to punish. What about a guy who's a cab driver in an older cab who's starving because of the medallion pricing that we have here in New York City? Another government program that was a disaster. How about that person? Yeah, they can't afford this either. They can't get a new cab. They can't afford it. They're going on the 2. Punishment, punishment, punishment. Yet Hoka will tell you, we're doing great in New York. Why do you think everybody's leaving? Because of shit like this. This is always their priority. I say again, the thing that never happens in my state, and I would say in most of these states, is there's never a plan for growth. Like, how do you set it up for people to grow and get better and get stronger and get smarter and faster? Never a plan for growth. Only a plan for punishment. If you're going to punish, at least give me an opportunity to grow somehow. At least give me that. No. The punishment will continue until morale improves. What do New Yorkers say? I'm leaving. I'm out. At one point, I just can't take the punishment. I'm out.
It's a bitter pill.
Henry's van, just 2 years old, doesn't make the cut. And
his van is just 2 years old and doesn't make the cut. 2 years. Doesn't make the cut.
Driving into the zone now costs him $30 every day.
$30 a day.
He may lose his home.
I really don't know how we're going to get out of this.
He's worried about losing his home. Okay, that guy is no spring chicken. That guy may be older than my old ass. And what's he going to change his whole lifestyle now? He's been a driver for decades. What's he going to do now? It's crazy. Shelley says, my friends in England all live in Dubai now. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Scientific Libertarian says, they're finally cracking down now on Shuffle's Deck. Poor people who can't afford expensive cars. Thank you. Yes. Yes. And again, if you listen to the rhetoric is, oh, we care about the poor. We care about the working class. That's the rhetoric. Okay, nice rhetoric, I guess, but 100% not at all actually helping the working class. Nice rhetoric, but that's about all it is. So yes, 100% terrible. So Juan says, did you catch how giddy Queen Kathy was during her press conference when she announced that New York City will be the first city with congestion pricing? The Dems in New York are proud of the tax hikes. Juan, they're happy because she's able to repay the people that she's given money to. The one thing that Queen Kathy is better than Cuomo is spreading the wealth. She's better at that. Cuomo was a bit greedy. He had his own people that he would give his money to. Kathy's more like Oprah. You get a job, you get a job, you get a job. She's much more like that, which is why she stays popular, she stays popular within her group, even though she's a terrible, terrible governor, because some of these people's jobs depend upon it. There's no doubt the people who put in the cameras, the people who run the admin behind the cameras, the people who are doing the payment plans, the processing, they all gave her some kind of money or something, and now she's paying them all back. She's giddy because now she can repay all the money she got, and they'll support her again in the coming years to ensure this stays. That's why she's giddy. Not because she gives a shit about this. She does not at all. She doesn't care about this. Doesn't affect her at all. What she cares about is she can now pay back the people who she owes. That's why she's so giddy. So, yes, absolutely. So if I can grab a couple more of these, so many things I do appreciate it. Dave says, Cato, Larry, wasn't Cato and Reason pushing congestion pricing some years back? Probably. Reason is just a bunch of Republicans who hate like Trump. So I guess, I mean, I don't know. I don't pay attention to Reason at all. It's a useless rag. Reason's a rag. I don't care if you get mad. It's a poser rag. Or they all put on gold face and pretend libertarians when they're not. They're just Republicans who don't like Trump. And it's fine. I'm not mad at them for it. I mean, a lot of people are Republicans who don't like Trump. I'm okay with that. Be who you are. But if you're a Republican who doesn't like Trump, please don't call yourself libertarian. Just say you're a Republican who doesn't like Trump. That's fine. You're just not a libertarian. They pretend, put on gold face, and act like I'm a libertarian now, but then say shit like congestion pricing is good or whatever they do. Nothing but bad. Joel says congestion not affected, increased tax collected. We'll call that a win. Yes, absolutely. Yes. And that's actually in it. Yes. I'll cover that in a second. Dave says, Larry, is certificate of entitlement like certificate of need that the demo publicans impose on trying to build hospitals? Yes, exactly the same concept. Correct. Certificate of need, I believe they measure it in beds. Certificate of entitlement is measured in cars. But yes, the government decides, I'm not joking, if you are entitled to own a car in Singapore. The government decides, right? You don't get to decide if you want it at all. The government decides. Should you own a car? We'll see. We'll see. This one that I want to bring up real fast is only a couple of months ago. And this one is a guy talking about the same concept. And he actually talked to the people who I talked about. He talked to those people. He spoke to them to see what they actually did. And it's much newer.
Get stuck in traffic. Check this out. Complete standstill. I've actually really outdone myself here.
See, look at him, right in traffic. But congestion
Inner
pricing,
city traffic can be a real nightmare.
A great way to spend a hot Thursday.
In New York City, the traffic is so bad that the MTA estimates New Yorkers lose an average of 117 hours in congestion each year.
But here in London and in Singapore, we have a thing called congestion tolls that aims to reduce traffic by charging drivers to enter busier parts of the city.
Now, he doesn't talk about Singapore in this, and the reason why he doesn't is because, as I said, Singapore literally controls every car. So if you're going to live in a police state and control every single car, it's very easy to control traffic. I mean, I would hate living there, but I get it. It actually does work.
City. And now congestion tolls are headed to New York.
It's going to be implemented in about a year. We're actually installing the infrastructure, all the cameras and the sensors right now.
And this is 2 months ago that this came out. Look at how giddy Lieber is. We're installing all the cameras now, and he is happy about that. We are going to have a complete and total police state soon.
Here's the thing. Even though there's a congestion charge in London and has been for decades, I'm still stuck in traffic. Yep. And the roads have actually been getting slower.
So do congestion tolls work?
Hold on. The roads are getting slower in London. Slower.
How will New York use them? And are these cameras headed for other US cities? Let's find out.
So here's how it works.
London's congestion charge zone covers around 8 square miles in the centre of the city, and the boundaries delineated by these red circles on the road and these signs.
I've just crossed over the congestion charge boundary zone, where I will be picked up by...
And Big Brother is right there to cover them.
Some cameras that are just up there that will register my license plate and charge me £15 to drive in the zone for the day, which is around $19. It's not actually me that'll be charged, it's my wife, because it's all linked to her account. Sorry, darling. So what's New York's congestion charge going to look like?
But hold on. Robert brings up, what are the odds instead of toll coming upstate to Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse? Let me be very clear. The odds are 1-to-1, 100%. But they probably won't go to the cities, right? Because it's not as... It's easy to delineate, very easy, Manhattan. Harder to do Buffalo. Could be done, but harder. Harder Rochester. They'll probably just do it on the tolls, right? I'm assuming they do it on the toll plazas, right? They'll decide what kind of car you have, that kind of stuff. It probably won't be congestion. It'll probably be type of car emissions. Because remember, Kathy Hochul's all about emissions. That's what matters. You having a job, Robert? I don't care. Starve. You have your kid getting good education? I don't care. Can't read. I don't care. You live in Rochester? Don't read. I don't care. But emissions matters. So my gut would say emissions immediately, and then maybe congestion. But the congestion in Rochester, Syracuse, and Buffalo is nowhere near as bad as New York City. So I think it'll go on emissions versus congestion before. That is my gut on that one. So thank you for that.
There you are.
How you doing? Nice to meet you.
How you doing?
To answer that, here's Metropolitan Transportation Authority CEO Jano Lieber.
All of Manhattan south of 60th Street, which is just at the bottom of Central Park, is going to, in effect, be a tolled area. There are two marginal highways on the west and east side of the island of Manhattan where you can circumvent the toll.
Now think about that. If any of you have been on either of those highways, West Side Highway, any of those highways that you've been on, right? FDR Drive, those you know New York City, been on those highways, right? They're already crowded. How crowded are they going to be now when they're the only place that you can get on? Think about that. The only place we don't pay. It's as if this guy is dumb. He's not dumb, but it's as if he is. That's why I say he's a bad person. Lieber is not stupid. He knows exactly what I'm saying. He knows what happens in Singapore. He knows what happened in London. It isn't like he doesn't know that. He knows what I know, right? I'm smarter than him, but I don't have more knowledge than he has in this regard, right? In general, I do, because that's besides the point. Anyway, my point is he does know all these things. So why would he do this? Why? Because he doesn't care. And this will make his masters, his corporate masters, his political masters happy. That's why he's there. He's not there because he's competent. He's there because he will make his political masters happy. And he does. It is working. He is doing his job very well.
I think the price is going to be somewhere between 10 and maybe $20. And
$23 is the answer, by the way. 23.
And the tolls are going to automatically appear on people's easy passes.
The MTA told me it was still finalizing
on their easy passes. Well, if you have an easy pass, picture of your license plate.
Pricing, but it was considering discounts and tax credits for low-income frequent drivers.
There it goes. He was considering discounts here and there. So now we can petition our government, and now we can get special favors for this group, special favors for that group. Yes.
Drivers and residents. It also told me it would monitor traffic levels around the congestion zone to try and avoid a buildup from people avoiding it.
Where they're monitoring us, not because they want to monitor us, because they care. I know I feel the love. I hope you do.
Where will the congestion charge money be going?
It has to be used to improve the mass transit.
Note, he did not say it would be. He said it has to be used. Let me be very clear. It will not. I will tell you this openly. It will go into a general fund. It always does. New York City's in debt. New York State's in debt. This money will be used to pay debt and to pay off cronies. That's what it'll be used for, to keep the unions happy, to fulfill our union debt, to all our pensions. That's what it'll be used for. It will not be used to fix anything. It never is. It never is. I go back to the most famous one. Remember what was supposed to happen when we did the lottery. It was supposed to go for education. Where'd that go? General fund. This will go into the general fund, guaranteed. If he says anything else, he either doesn't know or he's lying. But he doesn't want to commit. It has to be used to fix the mass transit system. So let's take more money from the average New Yorker, and maybe we'll fix the crappy mass transit that we're pushing you into, and maybe not, right? Maybe we will, and maybe we won't, right? That's the biggest problem that I see, is that maybe we will, and maybe we won't. So yeah, I don't buy what they're saying at all. So Sam brings a valid point. He says, is mass transit utilization down because the average New Yorker is afraid they will be hurt and can't defend themselves if they use the subway? Sadly, from that time of the massive increase in violence, and there is some, again, it's kind of a little bit of a rise, but it did go down for a while. People are still afraid. I hear people all the time say, I'm not going to subways. You crazy? People still are afraid. It's true. So that isn't the only reason, but also because they don't trust it, right? You go down into the subway and don't trust that just that they'll be hurt, but they will shut down stuff in the subway just to shut it down. It rains. I always joke. I say New York City, when it rains, New York City becomes Mogadishu. All of a sudden, half the subways don't work because we have a switcher. For those of you who don't know, we have a switcher problem in New York City that we haven't changed all the switches. And what happens is they overload and short all the time. That's a common problem in New York. So yes, that's one of the reasons.
But we're not just maintaining what we have. We're building, extending subway lines. With climate change and the air quality issues that all cities are facing, there's really no...
See, we're extending and building lines. How? I mean, it literally takes decades sometimes to do stuff. So this idea is garbage. But he goes, but climate change. So he throws climate change out. So climate change, that's the reason. Again, emissions. For those of you who don't know this, I want to be very clear about this. New York State, of all the states in America, has the least emissions of any state already. We have already punished our citizens beyond recognition to get down to the lowest. At one point, we can stop. It's enough. Can we at least get a breath so we can survive? Or again, I'll say it again. If you're going to punish us, where is the growth plan? You can't just keep choking us. At one point, we just leave.
No choice.
The MTA says that 80% of the money will be used to improve New York's subways and buses, while 10% each will be going to the Long Island Railroad and Metro North Railroad. But implementing a congestion toll can be pretty divisive. After all, these tolls are designed to make one of the most convenient forms of transport a financial inconvenience.
That's their goal. So only the wealthy people can do it. But here we go. Here is the requests for special discounts. I'm not joking. Can you see the numbers? There's over 100. Each one saying why they're special and why they should get a discount or somehow not get or be exempt or something. This was before it was implemented. There's over 100 groups saying, no. You got to give me something special. I need something special. This is embarrassing, isn't it? Like, as I go through it, I'm embarrassed as an American, as a New Yorker. And if you are sitting here in some other city or state than New York City, this is coming to you. I guarantee it. This is absolutely too juicy for politicians to not take it. And it's because of this right here. Each one of these is a lobbyist group that will give money to a politician. Let me repeat that. Each one of these is a lobbyist group that will give money to a politician. They cannot let this go.
MTA has already received requests from over 100 different groups that believe they should be exempt or discounted from the toll, from musicians to hearse drivers.
We have even the farmers have claimed that they should not be charged. There are a lot of good stories out there. But the bottom line is in the United States, we don't have a history of exempting people from tolls.
Yes, but if you leave the East Coast, there are hardly any tolls. Our history is just here in the East Coast, trashing you with a toll for everything you do. You could just not do that.
But the loudest critic of New York's plan has been New Jersey.
See, folks driving from New Jersey into New York already pay between $14 and $17 in tolls.
Did you hear that? You guys always joke. I think I'm joking when I say that it costs $18 to cross some of the bridges. Some of them do, but most cost around $15. They cost between $14 and $17 in tolls when they cross a bridge. That's to cross one bridge one way. Let me say it again. To cross one bridge one way, $14 to $17. With my crazy plan, those tolls go away. But now you got to pay $17 to cross a bridge. Then you want to drive in downtown New York, where half of the cool shit is. By the way, this district area, this is where the Empire State Building is. This is where the Freedom Tower is. This is how you get to the Statue of Liberty. This is where the UN is. This is where this is where Wall Street is. For those who don't know Manhattan or New York City, this is where all the cool stuff is. This, by the way, is where Broadway is. Times Square is here. So if you want to go to any of these cool places and you want to drive in, $17 plus the 20 whatever dollars is going to cost you plus parking. And if you want to get a hotel here in New York, I'm not making this up, in Manhattan, minimum, and I'm talking a place that probably doesn't have a bed, $300 a night, more like $400 or $500 a night. How are we going to have tourists in this place? How are we going to get tourists in this city? How are we going to do this? It's going to be virtually impossible.
When they use these bridges and tunnels, New Jersey officials have said an additional congestion toll would unfairly burden New Jersey commuters, and that a fuller
I don't care about Jersey people. Anyway, unfair for Jersey people.
Environmental impact study should be conducted. It then sued the Department of Transportation.
New Jersey's
That'll
actually
work.
initiated a lawsuit against the federal government for approving our plan, and the governor of New York State has said respectfully, pound sand.
This is one thing I got to give Hochul credit for. I do. I wish just she wasn't such a bad governor and a terrible person. But she does tell the federal government to go to hell. But it's always for the wrong reason. Like this. It's always the wrong reason. The Supreme Court said, New York State, your Second Amendment anti-gun laws are unconstitutional. And Hochul said, oh, is that right? Here's 10 more laws that restrict guns. I'm not joking. She literally did that, right? She's like, I don't care. Here's 10 more. Take that, federal government. What are you going to do? And the Supreme Court has no power to enforce anything. It just has edicts. And she went, I don't care. Now, while I love that conceptually, I hate the reason. Do that for other stuff, like they're making our education terrible. Tell the federal government to go pound sand. They're trying to force us to do taxation. Tell them to go pound sand. That'd be awesome. No, she does it for this.
This is going to happen.
So if it's going...
Now, he said this is going to happen. But didn't you hear the other people say how there's going to be public comment? Remember, I said the public comment doesn't matter? He just confirmed what I said. Public comment does not matter. I don't know why I even have public comment. It is useless. It is useless.
To happen, can it work? Can congestion tolls make roads faster? Well, New York's plan is yet to get off the ground, but London's has been in place for around 2 decades.
2 decades.
So I went to Transport for London, or TfL, the government body responsible for London's transport networks, kind of like the city's equivalent of the MTA. Here's Alina Turk.
Are they effective?
Yes, they are effective.
Of course she says so. But now what I got to give this guy, he actually asked some more detailed question, which is awesome. Of course they're effective. No, they're not.
We found that when we first introduced the charge, traffic entering the zone dropped by 18%.
No, she laughs because she's lying. And she goes, well, when we first started, it lowered.
And congestion dropped by 30%.
But the problem is, London's roads didn't stay that way.
See, she won't say that. Well, when we first started, it worked. But now it's worse.
Congestion levels have started to go up again.
TfL data shows that from 2010 to 2019, the average speed in central London got slower, from 9 miles an hour to 7. And delays increased from around...
Delays increase. This liar, and I will call her that, this liar said it works as effective. Yet now then she goes, well, not really. It's actually made things worse. Let me say that again. Congestion pricing in London made things worse. Congestion pricing in Singapore can work if you want the government to decide if you want to have a car or not. Then it can work. And I got to tell you, that's our next step here.
1.5 minutes per kilometre to around 2.5.
So, what's going on? Why am I still stuck in traffic?
Well, even though some drivers can choose to switch to a city's public transport network, others, like for hire vehicles and delivery drivers, can't. And the number of those drivers has increased over the years. Over 50% of the vehicles in Manhattan's proposed congestion tolling area are for hire vehicles and taxis. Many cities have also reallocated road space to buses.
New York has gone out of its way to try to become Amsterdam. And everyone in the actual neighborhoods hates it, which is how I know that public comment's useless. Because they constantly say, stop doing this. There's no place to drive. There's no place to park. This city's becoming unbearable. And all people in departments go, yeah, and put it anyway. And this will happen too.
bikes and pedestrians.
There's now also less road space available, hence that balancing out with the congestion levels.
But even
so now she admits, yeah, it didn't work.
If congestion zones don't always make roads quicker, they can have other benefits. One is that they can reduce emissions. TfL say that CO2 emissions in London have fallen.
That could happen, right? I don't doubt that could happen, of course. But again, whether you're for lower emissions or not, whatever your view is on that, let me say it again, New York State, the lowest in the entire country. This is one thing we don't need. So even if this is true and you care about emissions, assuming that you do, and this is true, so what? Not required in New York State.
Fallen by some 1 million tons since 2010, in part due to the congestion zone. But another is that they can be very good at raising money.
What? They can be good at raising money? What? Huh. Interesting how they can raise money. How New York State can tax you without officially taxing you again, which is what New York State does so well. Taxing you without taxing you, right? So I'm not taxing you, I'm just taxing you.
Whether that was the intended plan or not.
It's not a money-making scheme or hasn't got a revenue-raising objective, but nevertheless, it does make a net surplus.
Yes, it wasn't a scheme for that. Yes, it was. Please stop lying. Of course it was. That's literally what we're saying here in New York City. At least I'll give that. At least in New York City, we're being honest about it. I'll give them that. We didn't say it's just for the environmental congestion. We're saying, no, we need cash for the MTA. Let's not use Larry Sharp's plan, who he has said publicly for the past, now you have 5 years more, 2018, 5 years. He's actually been talking about for the past 5 years that he said on places like Joe Rogan and Glenn Beck, and when he was in debates, when he was running for government in 2018, that's been on his website, with Kathy Hochul's team has read. I know they have because he used my talking points when they read her speeches. So they know it. They won't do it. The problem is because my plan, the government doesn't run it, and you can't give out jobs to people. And that's all they care about is government running it so they can give out jobs to people.
So with congestion charging seeming destined for US streets, does that mean we're going to start seeing it across other cities in the US?
Yes.
Well, Jano hopes so.
I not only think it could work, I know that other cities are watching what we're doing closely.
Didn't I say that? Every one of you who was thinking, who cares about New York City? Homeboy knows this because politicians can't give up something like this. They can say they're caring about the environment while making sure government grows, while taxing you without taxing you, and by ensuring they can get extra cash from a bunch of lobbyists, literally over 100 different lobbyist groups that can put money in their pocket. And best off, if they're an executive, they can reward their cronies with jobs. I can guarantee this.
Cities from LA to Seattle have been discussing whether systems like this could be used to alleviate their traffic issues. And in London?
We are getting a lot of interest, a lot of inquiries from cities all around the world.
So
now I want to be clear. We're getting inquiries from all around the world. It doesn't work. She said it. He showed you. It doesn't work. And you're like, let's ask London what's going on. It doesn't work. So why would they want to do it? What I said, always follow the money. Always follow the money, right? That is the issue. This is all about cash, rewarding their people. That's what it's all about. So I'm sorry. I know I yapped a lot on this. It drives me crazy. It's so common how it's done. It's everywhere. It is the norm. Guys, if you watch this on Twitter, please retweet this right now. Don't think. Retweet right now. If you want your chat to go to the front, you can super chat me if you want to. If you're watching on Larry Sharp YouTube, you can also just click that like button. It does matter. If you care about what I'm doing here in New York and want to support ballot access, go over to LarrySharp.com, hit that donate button, and throw me 20 to 25 bucks every month. Do that now. 20 to 25 bucks a month every month. Donate so I can keep this going and maybe get something going on for ballot access next year so I can spend more time preaching this stuff, maybe make some changes to save both us and you. If you want to support the show itself, you say, I don't care about New York, but I like your show, Larry. Patreon.com/Sharpway. Every bit you give counts. 10 bucks a month goes a long way to get me doing this and less of my day job, which is where I make most of my money. So I can do that instead. So I'll do this instead. I would appreciate it if you can do that. It helps tremendously. So I want to grab more comments if I could. You guys know a lot of people. Let me try to go some of these other ones here. Joe says, LarrySharp.com/donate. Yes, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it very much. And if you can afford it, please do so. If you can't, you still click the like button. Like button is free, right? Like button is free. You can do like button. Don't forget, you can do that. It's a whole lot easy to do. It is grossly simple to do. So please do that if you can. All right. Michael says, New York State basically taxes without representation. Every day, Michael. Every day. Shelley says, we the people, in order to create a more fundraising nation. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yes, you're not wrong. Yes. Dave says, Larry, if I was still driving a truck, it looks like I'd be driving through Manhattan to get my destination. The issue is, right, there's some issues with this. Most of downtown Manhattan, you don't have to go through unless you're going to Long Island, right? You don't have to. You can go northern part of Manhattan, uptown Manhattan, and go to Connecticut, Boston. If you come down, going down to DC, you can. But the problem is now more people are going to be on those routes because you don't have to pay the $20 or the $15, whatever. You're going to find more people taking those roads. There are also 2 bridges that go from Queens into the Bronx. You're going to find more people doing that too, right? People respond to this stuff. They just do. And when they do, you're supposed to be making life easier. At least in theory you are. You're supposed to be making life easier, not harder. And we seem to continually make life freaking harder. It's very frustrating is what it is. So anyway, I'm sorry. Joe says, this reminds me of sitting in my city commission meeting years ago, and a new development was being proposed for approval. Big deal was made of the traffic already having a failing grade. They approved it anyway, meaningless. Yes, right. Here's how it works, Joe. Before they decide a plan, and for those you don't know, if I'm a contractor, I know some city council people, and this is literally how it works. And I say, hey, city councilman, we should build this cool thing. City councilman says, what thing? Well, this thing, and here's my plan on how we can build it. And here's how it'll do great stuff, and everything will be awesome. And he goes, oh, that sounds great. I love that, Mr. Contractor or whatever. Yeah, it's going to be amazing to do that. So we should do that. Well, maybe. What's your maximum contribution? Well, my max is $3,000. Here's a check for $3,000. I love what you do. In fact, here are my other friends. They'll need $2,000 too. Wow, that's like 30 grand. Yep, 30 grand. Holy cow, that's a lot of money for a city councilman. I know it is. Enjoy. He goes, maybe I should do this. You do it to 3 or 4 or 5 city councilmen. All of a sudden, this is now on a docket. Each of them got a bunch of cash, right? And you might go, Larry, that's like 30 grand per person. They got like 10 people. That's like $300,000. Yeah, that's correct. How much is one of these contracts worth? 10, 20, 30 million? More? Now the bids come out. It goes back to some contractor. The contractor thanks the guy who's called in the industry who got it done and pays him his cut back. Everybody gets paid. That happens constantly. So now here's the problem, Joe, right? I'm the guy, the expediter who's been paying off all these congressmen, all these city councilmen. I've been paying them all off. I need to get my money back, right? So you citizens getting in the way of me getting paid, I'm not going to be happy about that. And not just that, I might say something about my city councilman. And my city councilman, they want to get their cut and they want to get a bit more afterwards for the next thing. You're getting in the way of their money too. And now all the contractors know their union workers or the laborers, well, they're all getting paid off the teat of the city government, that $10, $20 million job. You're in the way of a lot of people making money. So your neighborhood being destroyed or you having a terrible life just gets in the way. So you got to go. What you say does not matter. And I wish I was joking, but Joe, you know, I'm not. You know that's how it actually works, right? You know that's how it actually works. And I wish it wasn't true. Robert says, don't know how the Dems plan to keep power now that they've given the ultimate incentive for Dems to leave New York City. I'll tell you why, Robert. Because New York City is 6-1 Democrat to Republican. A bunch can leave. It's fine. And the system is set to where it doesn't matter. I know. They got rid of me. And the worst part is, Robert, you know who sued me off the ballot last year? Republicans. They like the system too. The duopoly likes the system. So they don't care. So what? Someone gets booted off? The next one. The next one is fine. No worries. Lila says, holy moly, can't visit New York City anymore. I have been telling you guys this literally for years. And many of you thought I was crazy. And I said, no, this is important. Get out here and visit my amazing city. You should not live here. I don't want to live here. So you should not be moving here to live. But should you be moving here to visit? Yes. New York City is an amazing place to visit. There's so much good stuff here. You should visit my city. And you better visit fast because it's getting worse. So think about visiting as soon as you possibly can visit because it's just getting worse, right? So again, clearly I'm biased, but I don't care. I'm right. My city is a great city to visit. I don't want to live here. Nobody else should. Nobody should live here. But come visit if you can. It is a wonderful place to visit. Snork Y2K. Dems are registering illegal aliens to vote to replace Dems with the party. Well, yes and no, right? That's not possible federally, but they are starting to do it locally. That is the thing they're trying to pass locally. So yes, they have to be here for forgot how many days. New York City actually does have its own ID. So they do have that. Yes, they do have that. That is a true thing. That's true. Snork goes on to say, I did enjoy the museum and the cloister. Yes, New York City is a great place. Yes, a great place. 100%. So, Roger said a couple of things. Roger's, by the way, I picked this topic because Roger bugged me about it. And I was like, you know what? This makes sense. I think I'm going to bring this up. So let me grab a couple of Roger comments if I can. See if I can find a couple of it. He commented a couple of times. He first says, Larry, I'm out of the barber chair. Hochul, instead of punishing people for not having the right car, she should be financially incentivizing us to get certain types of cars. Maybe help us pay off the car note. You know, that's not a bad idea, right? If my choices are punish people or maybe, maybe have a tax break for someone who buys a car that's better or something. If I got to choose that, I'd rather go that route, right? As a general rule, I'd rather the government not be involved in that. But if my choices are, stick or carrot, I'd rather to have the carrot every day. I agree with you, right? If those are my choices, I would rather that. Yeah, say if you buy the cool car that I want for whatever reason, I decide I know the right car, you don't, whatever, because I'm smarter than you because I'm Kathy Hochul, right? Whatever. Then say, you know what? No sales tax in your car if you buy the car that I want. You buy a decent sized car, that's some cash, right? That's some cash right there. So, and what, 8% or more, depending where you are in New York, you just drop the price of your car by 8-9%. Not a bad deal. So yes, Roger then goes on to say she should be spreading the wealth to all of us. And I say this all the time. Not that I want the government to be writing checks. Of course not. But the government does write checks. If it's gonna write a check, just give it to the people that'll spend it. Why does it always have to go to the cronies? My point, because the cronies are giving them money, this is repayment, right? This is all repayment. Roger's correct. If you're gonna write checks, let the people spend it, right? If you're gonna give it back to us and from our taxes, and let us just spend it. If you're gonna do that, otherwise, come on, you just take it. It becomes wealth redistribution of the worst type, right? Of the worst type. Yes. Legacy Zach says, when the state decides what you can not going to have, you aren't free. Correct. And the people of Singapore aren't free. We're not free either. So yes. Roger goes on to say, this is why we need public banks to use tax deposits, to finance infrastructure, generating more jobs in construction, whose paychecks taxes used to pay back loan, while loan interest builds surplus. No need for new tax rates. As again, and Roger, you're a big part of this. I was initially completely against public banks. Didn't like the idea at all. I have come around on the idea because I'm looking at what we're doing and how we can fix things. And man, it's just, I'm having trouble finding a better way, if that makes any sense. But again, my number one issue is to support local businesses, to support and to back local credit unions and co-ops, right? I want the number one issue of it to be to support local communities. But I think your point is a valid one. It could do that too. What I don't want it to be is just replace government to be this. I think it also has to support local on top of it, right? If we do that, I have definitely been swayed on that piece. I really have been swayed. So yes. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this show. I thought it was kind of fun. If you have any more comments, I'll bring up in a second. But first, if you're watching on Twitter, please retweet. If you haven't clicked that like button yet, why not? Click the like button. If you haven't subscribed to me on either Facebook, YouTube, whatever, why not? Subscribe, follow, like. All those things matter. I get shadow banned horribly. If you guys don't do this, I can't keep doing this, right? I gotta get that. So guys, it's free. Cost you nothing. Click the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you get the notification. Do all those things. It does matter. If you do it, you will see that I will be able to be better off. It will absolutely work. So please do that if you could, right? I would appreciate it. There's my little subscribe thing popping up. Please do that. It does matter, right? All those things matter. I want to add one more thing. If you do want to support the show, you can. Patreon.com/Sharpway. And of course, you can head over to LarrySharpe.com/ballot access if you want to support ballot access in New York State for next year, 2024. That would be very helpful if you want to do that. But please, the like button, I cannot tell you how important that is. It does matter. Last piece I'll ask him, if you want to comment, I'm glad you are commenting, but do me one more favor. And this is a little bit pinned, but I know it is. But I'm going to ask you for this specifically. For those of you watching, after the show is over, once it's done, go back and comment, right? After the show is done, go back and comment. It does matter, right? If you can go back and comment, YouTube does notice that afterwards, people are still watching. YouTube does look at that also. So if you can do it, it's very helpful if you can. I would appreciate it. So, all right, let me see if I can grab a couple more of these if I can. Snoke says, I bought a hybrid car, but the state charged me $500 a year, even though I actually use some gas. Oh, you mean for, I'm not sure. The state charge, you mean for gas? I'm not sure what you mean there. Yeah. Shelly says, he's right about commenting afterward. Yes. So guys, if you can comment this, I know I'm asking a lot. I know I ask a lot of you. I do. But it doesn't matter. Please. It doesn't matter. Please do it. Comment afterwards, right? It's all good. So Michael Voss is here. A little bit late, brother. I'm about done. So I appreciate you commenting here, but I'm glad you are here. Every little bit counts. But again, I guess what I'll wrap up here, if I could, is when we're looking to fix a problem, government is looking for how they can create a program that they can get credit or money for. I'm not making this up. That's how they do it. Remember, most people who run for office, the average person, particularly those who aren't executives tend to be smarter, but not always. They tend to be smarter. The congressmen, assemblymen, senators, most of them are knuckleheads. Just knuckleheads. Most of them are. I met lots of them. Many of them are they're not that bright. They don't know stuff. How do they figure things out? People tell them stuff. I'm not joking. Literally, people tell them stuff. So they go into their neighborhood and some guy says, hey, you should do this thing. And they go, really? Yeah, why? Because this. And then people explain how they can make money on it. How do you think all these people make so much money? How do you go into a job that pays you maybe six figures, depending on which job you're going to? Congress pays you over six figures. City council doesn't, right? So whatever. And come out a millionaire. How do you do that? People show you how to make money. And now your goal becomes making money. That's really what it's about. So, yes. All right. Robert says, thoughts on Cuomo potentially running for mayor? If Cuomo runs for mayor, he wins. And you might go, wait a minute, Larry. New Yorkers love Cuomo? Yes. Yes. If Cuomo runs for mayor, he wins. He's not de Blasio. Him and de Blasio did not get along at all. And one of the reasons why they didn't get along is de Blasio was a true believer. What I mean by that, de Blasio was an actual, in his own mind at least, maybe not in private, but his own mind, he was an actual leftist. Like he believed in the left viewpoint. He was a socialist. He is a true believer. He believes it works, even though he has shown it does not, but he believes it. To this day, he still believes it. Cuomo never believed that. Cuomo is a Cuomoist. He will take anything that will get him into power. Cuomo will be a libertarian tomorrow. if it can get him elected, he'd be a Republican tomorrow. He don't care. He'd be independent. He'd be a Green Party. He don't care. He would be whatever it takes to become in power. He is a Cuomoist. He doesn't actually have a philosophy that makes any sense, except him being in charge. So he would simply move and adjust to whatever he wants to get elected in New York City. So he will win. Sadly, though, for all of us, to include de Blasio is actually a true believer. So even when the data showed de Blasio he was wrong, didn't matter. De Blasio was like, nope, I'm doing it. And he got booted and no one loved him and he couldn't even win. Yeah, unpopular because he was a true believer and didn't care. So Cuomo could actually win mayor. He could because he's savvy. And look, clearly, I do not like Cuomo. I think he's a bad person. I think his policies suck. I think he should be in jail. Clearly, I believe that. I've said it publicly. I still have eyes. I still know that the guy has charisma and he's smart. That's a fact. And you should never underestimate your enemy. You're dumb if you underestimate your enemy. And I consider him all of our enemy, right? The enemy of all of us. All our enemy. I don't know, however you would say that. He's the enemy of us all. How about that? I do not underestimate him at all, and neither should you. If he runs for mayor, he wins. He could also run for Senate and win. He could get right back in now. I don't know if you saw this, Robert. He was on Bill Maher about a month ago, maybe, give or take. Came on with a woman who wrote a book about him saying how innocent he was. Now, some of you probably just fell off your chair if you didn't know that. That actually happened. If you want to check it, you'll probably go on YouTube, put, Cuomo and Bill Maher and check it. I'm sure there's a video on it somewhere. He came on stage with a woman who wrote a book about how innocent he is. That literally happened. All I can say is, wow, that's amazing. Well done. Like, he figured that one out. I didn't see that coming. Like, I knew you'd try to come back, but that way, damn, okay. I hate to play it, but love the game. God, that's good. That's respect, right? For that one. He figured that one out. So yes. Yeah. Mike's on my side. He says, sadly, you're right. Cuomo will win. Mike knows too. Look, Mike is in this. He's in New York with me. He is in it. He sees it. It's not just me saying it. Mike knows it too. Cuomo could win. 100% he could win. Mike also goes, likely said before, but this cash grab will destroy the middle class and small businesses, all an excuse, illegal aliens and bad management. I don't think that the pricing, the illegal alien piece, obviously is part of the plan, but I don't think they're related in this case. Bad management, yes, but I don't think the illegal alien piece, the migrant piece. I try to be nicer, and I call migrant. I know you like illegal aliens, but be nice. Migrants, the migrants. I don't think that's related in this case. I think they're two separate issues. That's what my gut says. Yeah. Joel says, my fear is Schumer or Gillibrand will be replaced by Chelsea Clinton. I think in New York State, Chelsea could win too. I think you're right. She could win. I don't know if Chelsea could win in New York City. I don't know if she could. She's not a city girl. She hasn't been around here. She's not born here. For those of you who don't know, Cuomo was born and raised in Queens. So Cuomo could easily come back here and win. And also, there's a huge Italian community here in New York. Believe it or not, there's a large Italian community who's conservative in New York who would still vote for Cuomo. So he could pull some conservatives based on ethnic background. He could even do that. A lot of Italian Americans in New York City actually lean right. People don't know that, but it's true. A lot of them lean right. So you will find that he would even get some of those. Chelsea Clinton could win across the state. And statewide, maybe she could win. Maybe. But Cuomo could win any of those things without question. New York is sad. New York will just take anybody who's not a Republican. As a statewide election. For those of you who don't know, New York State literally has not had a Republican win a statewide election. Nothing, not governor, not senator, not AG, nothing in 22 years. The state's getting bluer. There is literally zero chance of a Republican winning a statewide election in New York State. Now, Republicans do win locally all the time. Most of the individual counties in New York State are actually red. Most of the counties are. All the cities are blue. So a lot of New Yorkers get mad and go, oh, New York, it's New York City that's ruining everything. No. If you're unhappy with Democrats, it's every city. Albany votes blue, Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester, Ithaca, Binghamton, they all do that, right? They all do that, 100%. So Shelley says, I know a lot of Italians who never vote for Cuomo. They remember how he disrespected every Italian on the planet. You know what, Shelley? I hadn't thought about that. You're right. That may be a change. He did do that. He was like, oh, I grab women's butts because I'm Italian. I remember that. You know what? Maybe I should change my mind on that one. Maybe he couldn't get that ethnic connection. I mean, look, a lot of Italians in New York City, Italian Americans in New York City, do lean right. A lot of them do. If you look at a lot of Conservative Party members, a lot of Republican Party members, a lot of them in New York City are Italian Americans. A lot are. Not all, but there's a large chunk of them who are Italian American. Staten Island, full, all the conservatives in the Bronx are Italian, right? Or Hispanic. So I think you do find some of that. But you're right. I assume that there'd be some ethnic connection and he could, peel some of that off, because Cuomo is very proud of his Italian heritage. I mean, I give him that. He really is. Like, he's very proud of his Italian heritage. He speaks about it often. So I assume that there'd be some connection. But you know what, Shelley? You may be right. I'm gonna back off on that one. You may be right on that one. Maybe you can't. So Michael goes on to say, Chelsea's unknown. She would lose as Hillary used up a lot of political capital in her last campaign in 2016. Gilliman may be likely replaced by AOC. Two points in that one. I think you're right on the money with Chelsea. I don't think she could win mayor at all. Maybe senator, but it would be tough. She would have to get all of the establishment behind her, right? If there was a serious primary challenger, I think you're right, Michael. She couldn't win. But if there's no primary, if all the Democrats got behind her, I think she could win, because they'd all just get behind her, right? And there'd be really no one to fight. They would shut her out of all the press, and anyone else out of the press. They would pump her up as our savior. And I think enough Democrats would be like, yeah, I guess at least she's not a Republican. Sadly, is what most New Yorkers would think. I think she'd win if the establishment got behind her. But if she was fighting somebody, yeah, like if she was with Gillibrand in a primary, I think you're right, Gillibrand would win. Gillibrand would have to step down and kind of anoint Chelsea as the next one. AOC, I have not heard AOC is running for Senate. I haven't heard that. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I think your point, AOC is still popular in for Democrats, for liberals, but she's lost a lot of the far left, like the DSA types and the socialist types. They're not so hot on the squad anymore. They're not. I mean, they would take the squad over, a Republican, but a lot of them are looking third party, looking green, working families, or literally checking out. And I actually know some DSA people who are so angry they are considering running Republican just as a protest vote. Yes, there are some. Now, will they actually go through with it? Don't know. Don't know if they'll go through with it. But they're talking the talk. They're talking trash at least. Who knows if that means they'll actually do it or not. But they are talking the trash. I think that's it. Yes. So Dave says, Larry, even though the Democratic Party threw Cuomo under the bus, he still loves New York. Actually, I think you're right on that one. He's still a New Yorker. He's still proud of New York. As am I, right? And God, that gives me less and less reason to be proud, like every month. But I still love my state. I do. And I know some of you are like, why, Larry? Why? Maybe I'm just dumb. I don't know. But I do. I still think this state's salvageable. I still think it has value. I still think it's salvageable. And I feel like maybe I'm crazy. But yeah, I do. Joel says, remember, winners are selected, not elected in New York. Man, I wish you were wrong, Joel. God, I wish you were wrong. I want to fight you on that, but I can't because you are on the money. But sadly, not just New York completely. And what does he mean by that, right? New York controls the ballot. New York controls who gets selected. New York gerrymanders every district. So the party bosses decide yes or no, who's going to be on, and the party boss, top dog, wins. Yes, you're right, Joel. I wish that wasn't true, but you are absolutely right. It is selected. And our system's broken, which is why some people will get mad. Why would I sit here and talk positive things about non-libertarian third parties? Because I want any third party to win. Obviously, I'm biased. I want libertarians to win. Of course, I'm a libertarian. I wear it on my sleeve, right? Mike gets mad at me every day about it. So yes, it's true. I wear it on my sleeve. But if I had a choice of a libertarian or an Andrew Yang forward party person winning, I'll take Andrew Yang's forward party. I take it. At least third party wins. It gives me a chance. RFK, he is rocking it. Let him win, right? Any of them, right? If there was a story of Vivek Ramaswamy running, let him win. Fine. I would take, and look, Cornel West is a socialist. I would take him winning. Why? Because once a third party breaks through, now third parties can win. And when third parties can win, I believe in my heart that my policies and my ideas, if they get a fair shake in the actual arena of good ideas, I say they win. I say I whip everybody's ass in a fair fight. And right now, I don't get a fair fight, not even close. So let any of them win. Vivek, RFK, Cornel West, Jill Stein, yes. Any one of them, yes. And I know some of you people, libertarians, are like, what, Jill Stein? Don't care. Yes, take her. If she wins in any way, I don't care how, we win. Not that, obviously, time, but we win in the long run, right? We have to break through this chokehold that they have. We just have to. Joe says, I'm in the YouTube now. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Yes. If you can, please like, comment, share, as I say all the time. Yes, 100%. Yes, it is critical. Shelley says, if the city elects Cuomo after he killed our elderly upstate, I will become extremely cautious around people from the city. Not kidding. Hundreds of friends from the city, but if they elect him, yet the problem is, to be forward with you, Shelley, is that they see no other option. And they're kind of right. The system is so broken, there's no other real option. And that's the problem, right? There's no other option. That's how they see it. We have to fix this system, right? Joe says, I come on YouTube and Larry's gone socialist. That's why I was waiting for you to come. Okay, now he's come. I've gone socialist. It's done. I've gone full on socialist. Yep, it's true. Joe, and I'm blaming you for it, actually. So now it's all your fault that I've gone socialist. You have done it. It is your fault. Guys, he's on YouTube. You can always super chat me on YouTube if you want to. If you're not on YouTube and you're on Twitter, please retweet this, like right now, or repost it, or whatever the re-exit, whatever the thing is. Please do it. It really doesn't matter. I bug you constantly because it matters. And click that like button if you haven't. Click it, like that button, whatever it is. It does matter. Every little bit counts. Every time that we do it, it gets someone somewhere to go, oh, I should do it too. And then someone else does it, and we get more subscribers and more people watch it. I've been talking this stuff literally for 5, 6, 7 years now. I got to get people to watch it. I got to get people to care. It works only if you help me out in this way. I appreciate it. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for this evening. I appreciate it. I hope this AMA was fun for you at least. I hope that topic was interesting. I will be back on Monday evening again, and then Tuesday. And I may do something this weekend if I feel up to it. I've been out for so long. I kind of want to get back into it. So I might do something again this weekend. We'll see. I will let you all know, and I will see you all very soon.